Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Today we're recapping the 98th Annual Academy Awards, a night filled with Hollywood glamour, big wins, tough losses, and even a historic first. We're breaking down the ceremony, the biggest categories, and everything else that happened at the Oscars this week in Geek.
We are Geekcentric, and you can be too. Love ya. Laters. Bye. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, gaming, and all things geek-centric. Today, I am joined by the glamorous, the fabulous, the oh-so-dashing Nate Shelton. Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, my goodness. You know, I think, like Kumail Nanjiani, voice of a Marvel Comics collector, but unlike him, body of a Marvel Comics collector. Not a Marvel Comics hero, unfortunately. I'm doing good, man. This was, it was fun. It's always fun to sort of see how these movies do, and I think going into it, it was one of those things where after, getting to attend TIFF this year, I was able to sort of feel like, I had more stakes in the race. I was able to sort of see more of the movies that we got to see either take home the gold or unfortunately miss it. But I'm excited to talk about all of those with you.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. It was great being a part of TIFF this year and actually being able to see a few of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture show up. That screened at TIFF, so that was great to kind of already have that homework completed in a lot of ways. But yeah, so let's get into it. The 98th Academy Awards are officially in the books, which means it's time for us to break down everything that went down on Hollywood's biggest night. Tonight we're talking about the show itself, Conan O'Brien as a host, the overall vibe of the ceremony, and any presenters or moments that really stood out. Then we'll get into some of the big awards of the night, such as Best Picture, Best Director, Actor, Actress, and supporting categories, and whether the Academy got it right or if we would have picked something different. And finally, we'll wrap things up with some surprise wins, standout categories, and awards we want to shout out that maybe didn't get as much attention during the broadcast, or we just want to shout out in general. So let's get into it. Let's kick things off talking about the show itself. I think, the ceremony overall this year, the Oscars, hosted again by Conan O'Brien. It's honestly, it felt like we were talking about this, felt like a safe choice. It felt like a choice that made the most sense given the fact that he had hosted it last year. And I think a lot of that showed because, there was this balance of the sharp Conan comedy, and then there was a little bit of self-awareness. It was almost like that self-awareness was more predicated on in the moment self-awareness rather than maybe what's going on in the world self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like, there were some subtleties and nods to these things, but I don't think they wanted to get too wrapped up in them to bring the evening down to a certain degree.
Sure. I mean, the joke at the beginning, right? I think with last time we did this, everything was on fire, and now everything's great. I think to your point, I think Conan as a safe choice. Don't get me wrong. I actually think Conan is maybe my favorite. It's him and we were talking about Kimmel as well, as like some of the tops. But for me, I've always been a big fan of Conan, and I think where he's at his best is with his Conan style humor. And so getting to see him, that opening with the Beastie Boys song playing as he's, like Stitch style running through all the different movies was hilarious.
It's a bit we've seen before, but again, it was safe. It was familiar. We've seen this bit before from even Kimmel, right? Like, I think we've seen it from others. That's the thing. It felt so like, again, safe, and the standard part to showcase the movies that are being featured as Best Picture in a way that allows him to be a part of them.
But to see him animated in the K-pop Demon Hunter style, Justin,
that was cool.
Was rad. Was rad. As Aunt Gladys, like, I just thought, like, I think they did enough with him, and I think his writers and himself did a great job at sort of making sure that we were getting what was expected from him. To your point, I think we'll talk about this evening, and I don't know if there were that many surprises as we might expect from the Oscars. But as far as Conan's hosting job, I thought he did a great job, and I loved the moments where he was even calling out the Academy for certain situations. You know what I mean? Whether it was people getting their speeches cut off or what have you. He wasn't afraid to necessarily still, bite at the hand that's feeding him to a certain degree. But yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed Conan throughout the entirety of the show. I think the other presenters' humor, I think maybe a few of them worked for me. I know Bridesmaids and I mentioned Kumail earlier. Like, I thought they did a great job with some of their comedy, but some of these other moments. I don't know, man.
Like the one thing about the Oscars that like it kind of lives and dies by is its pacing. Like I think this year it was actually probably on track because I think they wrapped, like, when I left my viewing party, it was like 10:38, 10:40. So like usually these things wrap at 11 if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know, like I think they might have saved time. I'm not sure, but it did feel like they were running long in certain instances. They were very, very aggressive with cutting off the mic and killing the light to tell people to get the hell off of the stage, which was a big, I think was a big down point of the Oscars in a lot of ways for specific moments, especially when it's like the category was like best original song, and you have the K-pop Demon Hunters up on stage accepting their award, and they're just cutting them off. It was kind of rude to a certain degree. And I think a lot of people felt that. Even Conan, they cut to Conan at one point and was saying, but all this to say, like, the pacing is always an issue, right? And I think the reality is that, like, and I think we said this before, but like, it would be nice if this evening was just focused on like people coming up on stage, a little bit of an intro into the awards and the winner, giving as much time and allotment of time per person. And I think if you can't say thank you in 2 minutes, then you have a problem. You know what I mean? Like, Like, it shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, 2 minutes is more than enough time to acknowledge and say thank you to the people that, got you to where you need to be, and getting you this award, however. But I think that if we can minimize the amount of fluff that leads into these things, then I think we could afford more time for some of these categories, because it is kind of ridiculous that certain categories get longer and less, right?
Well, and it's also that we're seeing, these movies aren't all just all these roles aren't just one person anymore, right? And they never have been. It's a matter of like, we've got maybe 3 or 4 different people that would like to say thank you. And to your point, I absolutely agree, 2 minutes, but maybe 2 minutes goes to one person, 2 minutes to another person. That we've cut that fluff down, like you said, and we can afford it. We can give that to them.
I agree with you. I think that giving more time to categories that might have more people coming up on stage would be beneficial. Do you know what I mean? To give each person. So I don't think 2 minutes for 5 people is enough, right? I think it's about understanding how many people might be accepting that award in advance, like understanding maybe, okay, there's a larger pool of people that'll be coming up on stage.
Yeah.
Maybe allowing that. There are those instances, though, when you do have like a best picture and the entire cast is going to come up and they select that one speaker. And that's ideal. I think in most cases, people should do that. They should select the one speaker, and that does keep that whole 2 minutes of thanking and everyone kind of collectively thanking. And if there's a little thanks, Mom, to my family, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, you can allow for those like little quick hits, but there should always be like a chosen speaker that goes to the stage and does it, so that there doesn't create this awkwardness of like having to go through the list of people on stage to have them say their little piece, because it's awkward for them, it's awkward for everyone there when the lights go out and the mic has to disappear and stuff like that. Again, I think it's aggressive how they handled it, and in some instances they were just like, kill the lights, kill the music, cut the camera, let's go over to Conan, and Conan's just standing there like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
So
And I kudos to him for calling it out, like just being like, wow, they lowered the mic on him. That's hilarious. And I agree. I think it's hilarious in the worst ways. And I think I think to your point, I would love to see some system put in place. It's like we're on number 98 and we haven't quite figured that out yet. It's pretty wild. And I agree with you. It's, people might jump in. Oh, I want to quickly. Oh, can I quickly? You know what? If it was decided ahead of time that 3 people are going to talk for this amount of time, or 2 people are going to talk for this amount of time, that is then on the individuals who are then accepting that award. And if they then go long, or someone in their group didn't get a chance to talk because someone else was talking too long, that's on them. That's not on the Academy at that point. But it doesn't seem like any of this is necessarily agreed upon. To me, at least. Again, we don't necessarily know the exact inner workings, but it feels like there's just not enough time given to the people that want to say thank you, and that's the whole point of what we're doing. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're there to celebrate the people that have won these awards. We want to see them. You mentioned a couple presenters that stood out to you. The Bridesmaid group. Was there any other ones that stood out to you other than those two? I think you mentioned
Kumail Nanjiani. I thought gave a very sort of just very classic humor style. Like I thought his quips were great. I think he'd be a great person to host the Oscars at some point. Way better than someone like Mr. Beast. Please, all that is holy, please do not have Mr. Beast host the. I hope that was a joke. But no, I thought it was great. I think most of the, I thought Anne Hathaway. Can we talk about how phenomenal Anne Hathaway looked at the Oscars?
Yeah.
And I understand that was like part of the bit, but she looked incredible. Wow.
Yeah, her and Anna Wintour were fantastic. I loved how cold Anna Wintour was, because it's obviously very similar to the character that Meryl Streep plays. It's inspired by Anna, and I think it's it was perfect. It only got me more hyped for Devil Wears Prada 2, man. Let me just say that. I'll just got me stoked for that movie. I think the presenters wise, there were a couple. It was great to see obviously Chris Evans and Robert Downey on stage.
Dr. Dooming Green.
Yeah, I know. That was so apparent. And even his ring was he had a ring that was gold with a green ruby inside of it. So
come on, dude. He knows
or
what
green
he's doing.
stone. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's but and then you got Chris Evans, who's dressed very clean, not in blue like he usually has. This is all courtesy of Soups online. Who
did he do a breakdown?
He did a breakdown. He thinks that it's hints at the fact that Chris Evans will be playing Captain Hydra. I don't think that's it. I do think it's probably more along the lines though that the simplicity, the cleanness. He's Steve Rogers. If we're going to break it down that way. So let's not get into the rabbit hole. That's not what people came here for. But I did think their bit was a little elongated, and it felt like it almost like it was too improv-y. I liked when they started talking to Channing, and he's just like, yo, I need them back after, right? And I thought that was really, really funny.
Can I also shout out Channing Tatum as well? Like the Channing Tatum Will Arnett bit, I thought was so well done.
Yeah, and that quote that Will Arnett dropped at that for best animation, where we're here to celebrate people, not AI, that really hit for me.
Huge.
And I think it hit for the whole crowd to understand and just celebrate this idea that, creativity blossoms and lives in people, not in AI. As the tools that we use as creators from technology is one thing, but to use AI to simply create something or to animate something, that's taking something away in a lot of ways. I think there were some really great moments and some great speeches. Nothing that really was massive other than we'll talk about it as we kind of go through the
Grogu not being able to clap. Is that what you're...
Oh, well, yeah, that was pretty funny. I remember that there was just this whole thing about advertising movies during the Oscars and how that was kind of like frowned upon.
Oh, really?
I thought there was something like that. If anyone is listening knows anything about that, please let us know. But I remember when they did it for like something like when Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy took the stage to like showcase Little Mermaid,
the Little Mermaid,
theories, like there was this like moment for it. It was like, well, that's not what this is for. And a lot of people say, oh, because it's ABC and it's a Disney owned channel, right? That's probably the reason why. And yet here we are. We got like a soft ad for, remember Mando and Grogu is going to be in theaters soon. So I thought that was an interesting choice.
It was better than what they did for the Super Bowl, in my opinion. But I think just slightly. I do think though, if anything, it does speak to, and I understand this might be considered production design, but puppeteering and animatronics, let's get a category for that. We got casting this year. I would love to see like a puppeteering, especially
that's visual effects. That
would be under visual effects specifically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's not that's visual effects is a mixture of those two things, right? It's not just like computer based art.
Then let's get more puppeteers nominated.
Yeah, I think we need to find more films that embrace that and that are featured in that.
Yeah.
Potentially, so I think that's where we could see more of that featured there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about from the ceremony or the show before we kind of get into like some quick breakdowns of the awards?
No, I think I'm good. Even if there is some stuff from presenters that I might want to get back to, we can talk about it while the awards are happening.
All right. Well, let's talk about these categories, some of the bigger ones. The ones that everyone pretty much wanted to see. So we'll start with the supporting actress. I was absolutely thrilled to see Amy Madigan take the award. I think it was pretty much determined that she was going to take it based on stats, but I was thrilled to see that her, and she was like, we were talking about speeches. She was a great speech to kind of kick off the awards, just because of how I guess vulnerable and in the moment she was about her win. That like she's been doing this for, I think she said 40 years she's been acting, and now she's got a little gold guy to for her shelf, which I think was so great. And it was a very endearing speech that really, again, it just highlighted what this meant for her. And she called out the fact that sometimes they prep you and they say, don't list off a bunch of random people that they, nobody knows, right? But it's like all those people are the people that probably got you to where you are and why you're on the stage winning this award. So it's hard not to. So I really liked how she kind of complimented that or talked about that in a very honest way. But yeah, I was thrilled to see her. She was my pick, and I'm glad she was the Oscar winner for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's random when they're the people that help you get to where you are in that 100%. Moment, right? And so I think absolutely it was a wonderful speech, and I think I haven't seen her performance yet. I've seen clips of her performance, and from the clips I've seen, I definitely agree that it's well deserved. My vote originally was with Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. I think she's so strong in that movie, and she's so like, I think she's not even in the movie for a good chunk of it, but she's so powerful for those moments when she is on screen. And I think the entire supporting actress category was pretty stacked. I mean, I think like Inga Ibsdottir Lilius from Sentimental Value and Wunmi Mosaku also easily could have taken this.
Yeah, any one of them could have taken it. Yeah, because they left an impression that very much defined the film in a lot of ways. Each of their characters, right?
Yeah.
So even with someone like Tiana, like she, as you said, she's not in for that much in One Battle After Another, but
she's like one of the biggest pivotal parts that you remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So Best Supporting Actor, this was a given. Everyone was pretty much saying it. I thought Delroy should have won for Sinners, in all honesty. I do think he was deserving of it, but it did go to Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. It was a very eerie and bizarre role for Sean Penn, and he leaned in hard. I loved the joke that Conan made off the top. It was like he got an erection at gunpoint. And then PT was like, let's keep that in the movie.
So good.
I thought that was really, really great. But sadly, Sean Penn wasn't there. He not that he didn't make it. He didn't want to go. I'm not really sure why. Do you know any details about that?
I haven't heard. I've seen that there's been some. I literally just today was looking at some stuff, and there were some ancillary sort of comments and moments of him talking about, just kind of who he's supporting politically. I think there's just something that's going on with him right now that is keeping him from maybe making the decision to just be in the spotlight. I thought it was interesting with Kieran Culkin saying, he's not here tonight, or maybe he didn't want to be. And
no, he said he's not here tonight, or he didn't want he didn't want to be here tonight, or something along those lines. Like, he made it quite clear that he knew that he didn't want to be there in his statement, and I think that was very interesting.
And it was interesting too because it felt biting right after Kieran said all these wonderful things about this category and all the incredible people that are in the category, and then to kind of have that shift, I was like, that's very Kieran Culkin, which was great. It was a very quick, snappy thing to say, but at the same time, it was just interesting. Yeah, the exact quote: Sean Penn couldn't be here tonight, or didn't want to, and everyone who was at my watch party was like, what is going on there? I don't know. Maybe there's something going on. But as far as deserved of it, 100%. I think he's very similar to Tiana Taylor in that he's another
everlasting
huge pillar of that movie. I would argue that both of them are I'm remembering more than Leo, and Leo is the main one of the main characters of the film. He's kind of the main guy. So I think absolutely deserved. The only other person that I would have given it to, Delroy Lindo was so good in Sinners, but Stellan Skarsgård, I think in sentimental value would have been the other one.
Yeah, I think everyone, again, I was saying this at my watch party, the everyone in every category deserves to be there. Yeah. There hasn't been an instance this year where I was just like, why is that there? You know what I mean? Like, why is this person nominated? Everyone deserved to be there, and everyone lifted the film. And when you think of supporting and you think of the everlasting impressions that a supporting role has, to be influential but not to necessarily be the main anchor in a film, everyone in the best supporting actress and actor, they did that part. They left an impression. They did their thing. I think Benicio del Toro was also nominated for best supporting, and him as Sensei was absolutely fantastic. And another character, to your point, around Leonardo DiCaprio that you remember more than just Leo, right? And
that's not to say that Leo was bad in that movie.
No, it's not. But he was surrounded by really strong performances.
Really strong. Yeah.
That really did. Elevate the entire film, and elevated his performance as well. I think that everyone in the category deserved it, and Sean Penn, he deserved it. He did a really great job. It was a memorable performance and a memorable role where you were just really eerie and weirded out by him, and I think that always plays really, really well. Best actress, this one was pretty much in the bag. She literally walked through this award season winning every single award.
Wow.
But the Golden Globes, it was Jessie Buckley and Rose Byrne. And here at the Oscars, Jessie Buckley takes it home for Hamnet. Not a surprise. No. Did you watch Hamnet? You did, right?
I did. I actually watched it just before going to my Oscars party. So she is unbelievable in that film. And the performance of, she talked about it in her speech, like just about being a mother and just being able to portray just that level of grief is not a small task, and to do it in a way that at no point in time did I ever watch it and feel like I'm watching a performance. I just felt like I was watching a grieving mother in those moments, and it's spectacular. She 100% deserved it. The only other person I heard really great things about, like you said, was Rose Byrne, but I had not seen So
she was
what did you
fantastic
think?
in the movie. Oh, it was incredible. It's
Yeah.
like, again, it actually parallels exactly what you were talking about with Jessie Buckley.
Oh,
right.
okay.
There is a sense of, there's not grieving. There's a sense of shame and a sense of guilt that surrounds Rose Byrne's character in this film. And to be honest, I found it incredibly relatable. I feel like I could relate to this character, and even as a male, but just understanding the sort of the toll, the mental health, and everything that kind of wraps around the situation that she's in, and balancing her life with that. It's really, really intense. Like, it was like, I saw that film and I was going to watch Hamnet, and I was like, I cannot watch another movie that involves a child going through something, because it's just going to break me.
Yeah, it would hit you hard.
And it's like, it's changed the way you watch movies, right? Through the lens of, like, it's just, it hits hard. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You was tough to watch strictly for that reason. So I didn't get a chance to watch Hamnet. I'll probably go back and watch it at some point. But yeah, so I think, for me, I think she was so deserving of it. It was such a close run. I understand Jessie Buckley, though, really, like, from what I've heard, it's like a heartbreaking performance. And I think that, again, upset not having seen it, but hearing everyone around me say that it was just an absolute outstanding performance, it's clear she deserved that award. Good to see her up on stage talking about motherhood and being a parent, and I think how that influences her performance and the choices that she made in that performance. Moving to Best Actor.
Whoa.
Okay, like, come on. This was like a 50-50. Like, the stats were like literally so close to the margins for Timothée Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan. And Michael B. came out the Oscar winner, which was absolutely
he danced his way around.
It's funny though,
sang
too,
a little
because
opera.
Yeah, it's funny too, because it's not like, there's a big campaign, right? The studios do campaigns for these actors. The actors do their own campaigns. They do their own press. Timmy was on a bit of a press of his own, doing these like retrospective conversations with people that he worked with, Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, Matthew McConaughey. He had these conversations where he was trying to highlight his career, and I honestly think as interesting as they were, they didn't necessarily reveal the best side of him sometimes. I think it highlighted how much more this kid needs to work, to do, as you said, offline, do a couple more laps around the sun, do some more roles, learn, get a little more experience under the belt. And I think, he's destined to win an Oscar. I think he'll win an Oscar for someone that's more likable than Marty Supreme. Yeah. But Michael B. Jordan taking home the gold, I'm so thrilled. I went with my gut and I chose that, and it paid off huge.
Yeah. Also, Michael B. Jordan on my sheet. But before I get to him, just with Timmy, like, it's one of those things where, seeing his speech of like, I want to be one of the greats. In that moment, he had me. I was like, hell yeah, Timmy, let's go. I can't wait to see you win that Oscar. But I think his character, like you said, in Marty Supreme, is not that likable, and the problem becomes where it felt like he was doing so much press. He was so into that character that he sort of started to feel like him and the character were one and the same. Right. And that can start to become a problem. And like you said, these actors, they're campaigning. And I think so much of winning these awards is not just how good you do on the screen, because I think Timothée Chalamet on the screen in Marty Supreme, I think he is phenomenal. I do think that performance is worth an Oscar, but I think there's so much more to this than just what's on screen when it comes to the Academy and when it comes to the folks that are actually doing the voting. And with that comes how you carry yourself. You look at someone like Michael B. Jordan, and he is incredible. He carries himself. He has such respect for so many people. There was a slight sort of controversy with him, defending his good friend Jonathan Majors, and obviously say what you will about that entire situation. But I think from a standpoint of who Michael B. Jordan is, the way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way he respects and loves his mom, He's thanked his mom right away. I think a lot that has a lot to do with it, and he gave a phenomenal performance. So when you said coming into this we were going 50-50, wholeheartedly agree on the performance side of things, but I think he deserved it, and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, he deserved it. I think he really does work. I get what you're saying. His etiquette, his demeanor, who he is as a character, like as Michael B. Jordan, is very professional, very courteous, very thoughtful, and that goes a long way, right? That goes a long way with your community of people who are voting for you and respect you, that want to see you succeed. And maybe Timothy's a bit of an arrogant guy. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
the comment that he made came out, and it's I do think it was overblown in a lot of situations.
Oh, it's been blown up more so than anything else, and it's like it's a snippet from a longer form conversation, and I think it's unfair. I feel bad. Like, I just think, like, and that's me saying that he, is got a bit of an arrogance to him, is probably just because he's good at what he does. Do you know what I mean? It has nothing else to do with this whole idea of like a ballet and opera and whatever. It's just more or less this idea that, like,
but you have to imagine that, sorry, just really quick. You have to imagine that with him saying that just before the votes were cast, right? It's in that timing was not good. Because you have to imagine how many of these people that are voting have family members, loved ones, people within the industry that they care about, who are their friends, who are dancers, right? Who are, you know what I mean?
I think he said the thing that nobody else will say. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the other thing, right? Like, I honestly think it really came down to what you were saying before, though. The performance first, right? What stuck with them as memorable? What stuck with them as, like, not just like, yeah, Timothy was really great in Marty Supreme, but he's such an asshole, like as like a character as Marty Supreme. But Michael B. Jordan played like two different characters, two different sides of a character, and had to really lean into it. I think that is obviously the main point, and then I think what you put underneath that is who they are as people that really helped elevate them. And to your point, like, it might have been a no-brainer that Michael B. Jordan was destined to win this award, but I know that there was a lot of conversation, a lot of talk, even the fact that I believe in this category for the Golden Globes, Michael B. Jordan didn't win. Right. Michael B. Jordan, and it wasn't until I believe SAG, maybe it's just SAG, where it kind of pivoted, right? And it really showcased that, okay, Michael B., he's got some legs in this game for Best Actor. So I was thrilled. I think everyone was thrilled. It was so great to see so many different social posts of people popping off at that announcement. It was so great and so well earned, and I'm really happy that he is now Academy Award winner, Michael B. Jordan.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's bundle these last two.
Okay.
Just to speed up the process. But Best Director, P.T. Anderson for One Battle After Another. And Best Picture, One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that P.T. won for this film. Like for
and not Licorice Pizza.
Oh God, man. Like, I know that movie, like, some people like it and some people don't. I was definitely on the camp that wasn't a fan of it, and I was just like, I think he's losing it. But then there's a movie like this that comes out and it's like, okay, he's still in the game, and this movie, it really should be celebrated for its direction and its vision and how it was executed. And he is so deserving of this after I think it's like 14 nominations. I think he's been. So it's like, it's maybe not for Best Director. Is it Best Director 14 nominations or just 14 nominations in general? Because he walked away with 2 for Best Adapted Screenplay and for Best Director, or actually 3, considering the fact that they also won for Best Picture. But what were your thoughts on Best Director?
Yeah, I mean, I was very happy for him, knowing, learning about his story of how many times he's been nominated. Again, that's another factor that goes into a lot of these things. I think for me, if Coogler hadn't taken original screenplay, I would have been a little more sad for Ryan, but Ryan got some hardware. He got, he wrote an incredible screenplay, and made an incredible film that was, I think when we're talking about the 50-50 situation, I know statistically it might not have been that case for the Best Picture, but I was just, I don't know. I for me, Sinners was my favorite film of 2025. I would have loved to have seen it take Best Picture, but both of them so deserved. And yeah, I was really happy for him. I think they did a phenomenal job with that movie, and I think he's he's well deserved of it. And yeah, like you said, now he went from having none after how many 14 to 3 in one night
for sure.
Yeah, kudos to PTA.
Yeah, I think again, like, so deserving of direction. You know, again, like Ryan still has so much more stories in him to tell, and I think that, like, while Sinners is a landmark moment for him as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, I don't know if this was going to be the film that he was going to win Best Direction for. I think it's better that he won it actually for Best Original Screenplay, because it really does highlight something that he's so passionate about, and that is the story aspect of it. And I think he will eventually win as a Best Director. So I think P.T. Anderson was the director, was the person that I thought would win for Best Direction. Now, you mentioned for Best Picture, you know, one battle after another. There was a bit of a 50-50 with this one, with Sinners, which is kind of ironic because they're both Warner Brothers films. So it's basically Warner Brothers duking it out with Warner Brothers. But when you think about those two films, and I think, again, like for me at least, like Sinners sustained the conversation much longer and more extended in a lot of ways. And I think it really did leave an everlasting impact, because it came out in April of last year. Do you know what I mean? And it had the legs and the word of mouth, the conversation, to go all the way to the Oscars. The same thing happened to Everything Everywhere All at Once, the year that it won. It came out in like March, and then a year later, it was winning every goddamn Oscar award. You know what I mean? Rightfully so. But so I picked Sinners for Best Picture in my pool. Just voting with my heart. I am happy though that One Battle After Another wins, because there is a very point to that story. And I think, again, to your point, that might be one of the many factors that plays into why a story might resonate with the Academy, is kind of like where the world is at and what this film is saying about the world in that moment.
Well, and I think even in in Ryan Coogler's speech for accepting Best Screenplay, like he said, you know, memories are all we have. I hope I'll give you some great ones. And to your point, lasting power is very important. And the other element to it too, of Sinners being a movie that kind of feels like it's like one part movie that absolutely the Oscars, the Academy would eat up, and another part that they usually don't as much. And I know Weapons obviously was great to see that represented, but just in that sense of like, you know, I think that lasting power, that ability to make an impact, you're right. I think it absolutely did. And I just, yeah, I would have loved to, I voted One Battle. I would have loved for it to have been Sinners, more so, but you know, I had to try to make that money on that betting pool.
Of course, you know,
but
it's hard out there, right? So you need to make that coin, right, wherever you can. So the Oscars pool is always a great way to make.
I didn't win, by the way. Spoilers. I did not win.
Okay. Yeah. How many did you get? How many on the list? How many did you get right, or how many did you get wrong?
I got a total of 19 correct. Yeah, I missed some. I missed some that I voted with my heart, like yourself. But yeah, I managed to get 19, but it was not enough to secure the win, unfortunately. Yeah,
I think I only got 4 wrong. So we're about, you know, on mark there, right? And again, like we were saying before, there weren't really that many surprises. Not many, but there was one. So before we wrap, let's talk about, you know, some of those surprise moments, or, you know, moments that just, you know, that stood out for you, awards that you know, we might not have mentioned. That one, if it's okay, can I kick this one off? We're talking about cinematography, and just the fact that, you know, we have our first woman who has won for best cinematography, and that was for Sinners. That was Autumn Durral-Arkapaw won. And I was ecstatic. I literally was in this theater watching this screening for the stream, and I yelped because I was so excited. I think everyone was so certain that Michael Bauman was going to win for One Battle After Another, which again is a beautiful film, absolutely stunning. But the images that Autumn was able to create in Sinners stuck with me so much more. I think there was beauty and the landscapes and in the vastness and the way things were kind of shot in One Battle After Another, but there were images that you could just pluck as stills from Sinners that were just like, I don't know, man. They were just like, they looked like photo stills as well, right? Like, I don't know. They were designed in a really interesting way. They stuck with me longer. I was so ecstatic. I was rooting for her from the beginning. I thought she was the underdog, the Academy. But it's to think that we're close to 100 years. We're at 98, and we are getting our first woman who is winning for best cinematography. Unreal. I'm ecstatic that it was her, though. I'm ecstatic that it was her because her long-time relationship with Ryan Coogler, obviously it's paid off, but the idea that it's the love and relationship, the collaboration that the two have, you can see it in the work, right? You can see it in the work and the trust that they have for one another. So I was ecstatic. I'm so stoked for Autumn. She is going to she's going to kill it now. Her career is just going to elevate so much more. Again, just a historical first, and it was incredible to witness that at this Academy.
Yeah, extremely well deserved. I think with something like Sinners, we talk about. I think I mentioned this when I talked about our favorites of 2025, and I just love how that movie. It's magic. The way that they are able to give us two movies in one is magic. And I think from a cinematography standpoint, to be able to sort of seamlessly shift the way that you're making a movie from one genre to another, that is huge kudos to Autumn. I think one that I wanted to kind of mention that was a bit of a sweep was the technical sweep with Frankenstein. I think I think that was really fantastic production design, costume design, makeup and hairstyling, and specifically I want to shout out Kate Hawley for Frankenstein because when we talk about memorable, when we're talking about the visuals in that movie, the production design was absolutely phenomenal. The makeup was gorgeous, but for Frankenstein, the monster was incredible. Kate Hawley's costuming, though, I think especially for Mia Goth's character, is just like, I'm still seeing the bright red dress that she wears in that movie in my head, some of the headdresses that she has, the incredible ornate details. And I love how she worked with Guillermo to maintain the color palette of the various costumes to ensure that they're telling the story that they want to tell. And there, you can look it up. He goes into more detail about it, but it's just, I absolutely was really stoked. I think I was the only one when we're talking about for costuming that I was like, I yelped in that moment. So I was really, really, really stoked for her, and I think that was great.
Well, it was great to see, with that Frankenstein love, some of them being Canadian and actually getting it, like Tamara Deverell. We're celebrating Canada and the craftspeople that were a part of Frankenstein. Canada got a lot of love though too. Maggie Kang and. For best animated film, K-pop Demon Hunters. She's from Toronto.
Let's go, dude.
Right? Yeah,
absolutely.
And the animated short, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, is from Montreal. So it's a Canadian short film. So it was great to see some Canadian love.
I will say, if we're talking about upsets, the only other upset I would say, it's not even an upset. Like this year's award, while it was safe and there weren't that many surprises, it also was kind of like, I was kind of happy with either way that things went when things were up in the air. And I know K-pop was like a sure lock. Personally, I would have loved and it was never going to happen because it's just not, I don't think enough people watched it, but Little Amelie, or the character of Rain, is just, if I can just, please go watch this movie if you haven't already. Find it. Make sure you watch it in its original dub, in its original French language. But that movie, more than, and we love Pixar. Little Amelie should have been there, should have been in contention, but it wasn't. But I know a lot of people did. I saw a lot of critics ahead of time that were saying like, that would be my backup vote.
At the TIFF event, they were all saying like, oh, if K-pop doesn't win, I want it to be Little Amelie. I'm like,
oh hell
okay.
yeah,
yeah. So like
because it's
screened at TIFF and people saw it, and
Yeah.
They also had a screening at they screened it at the TIFF Lightbox after the festival as well. So, like there was a lot of love for that film. I agree with you. That was one of the ones that I thought, like, if K-pop didn't take it, it should win. Because K-pop is, it's so shrouded with the not shrouded, but it's elevated because of its popularity. So you wonder then, is it that's really driving why that wins it, or is it the art, is it the story? And I think there's a little bit of all of that's really there. I loved K-pop, so I feel like it wasn't necessarily just cookie cutter to a degree. So it was very unique, and I think, again, to see that celebration, to see that elevation of the Korean culture, in a way that's more mainstream, because I know that, like we were saying before, there's so many kids that are into K-pop on the Western side of the world, and there is this sort of subvert culture within teens that love K-pop. So this really does appeal to them, and then the song's a banger, you know what I mean? So it gets all the adults into it. So I think
and all the adults who have had to hear it over and over and over again,
sure, more than
like
Frozen. Like, I can't believe that, but it really does wrap a full wide audience, and I think that's what makes it successful and deserving of best animated feature. But I will say my only gripe was best original score. Now I'm happy Ludwig won, because the score was great. I was just so disappointed that Hans Zimmer for F1 was not in that category. Yeah. Like, dude, like that, his score for that elevates that movie. It's almost on the same level of how Tron Legacy's score by the Daft Punk just it elevates the entire film, right? It changes it all, right? So I just thought, wow, it's crazy. It's just like last year. I don't think Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross were nominated for challengers, if I'm not mistaken, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, there's always one. I do think this category was also pretty stacked this year. I think music in all of these films was excellent. The one thing I will say, Max Richter for Hamnet, the most memorable moment in the movie in regards to music is kind of just the end. So like, he did a great job, and it's a song that you'll hear it and you'll instantly know it. But I think Johnny Greenwood's piano in One Battle is, when we talk about like those scores that you just want to go back and listen to, the music in Begonia is like,
oh dude, that one was wild,
crazy.
That was a wild
to match the visuals and to write
just to match. It's not even the visuals; it's just to heighten the sort of weirdness and the intensity of it. Like, the score made you uneasy more so than anything else, right?
Yes, it almost took something that would have been mundane, like a shot that would be mundane, and then made you sort of feel
absolutely. That's tingles. The point. That's the point of music in some instances, right?
Alexandra Desplat with Frankenstein, I thought was so good as well.
Yeah, I thought that was like. It was so, like, there was a romance to it.
Yes.
That was so like a monstrous romance, if you will, right? Like there was that. So I feel like it was so deserving to be in that category. You're absolutely right, though. I think every film that was nominated in that category deserved to be there. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought, Hans Zimmer was weird. It's a weird choice, because I like that track is a banger, man. I listen to that all the time. So, all right. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I can't believe we had a tie. That was crazy. Didn't know that was a thing. And I'll reiterate one more time. Please don't have Mr. Beast host, even when the awards go to YouTube. Which, by the way, when we talk about, because I remember we had a conversation a few years ago about making these awards more accessible to people to watch, getting it off of broadcast television and making sure that we can watch the award show easier. I'm happy. I love that. I'm so happy that we're going to YouTube. I don't think it diminishes the awards by any stretch of the imagination. I'm hoping more people will be able to watch it and engage with it, and get to engage with this incredible artistry that we go to the Oscars to celebrate, and get to see these movies and get to see something like Scenes from Little Amelie and go, I need to watch that movie now. I think it makes sense, but please, Mr. Beast is already invading my lovely Survivor every week, and I'm freaking out about it. I don't want Mr. Beast in there, but yeah, no, that would be my only last notes.
Well, I think Conan's going to be the host for life, so who knows? Yes. Well, that's it for our This Week in Geek Oscars recap. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, feel free to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to reach out to us and let us know your thoughts, your predictions of what you got right, where we were totally off, well, you can reach out to us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter at GeekcentricYT, or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at wearegeekcentric. we have a ton of episodes coming up, lots of reviews, some convention coverage, whole bunch of other stuff. We got interviews out now on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric, like our most recent interview with the directors of Ready or Not 2. That's available right now on YouTube. It's not on podcast feeds yet. It will be later. There's a lot more coverage to come and on podcast feeds and on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to us. But until then, Nate, thank you so much for participating in this lovely Oscars recap. And as we say,
yeah, I mean, listen, just before we go, I know we're running long here. I do want to just say, huge thanks to the Academy, everyone, all the geeks. I think it's one of those things where when we're, and let me just go through my notes here. And I think the biggest thing to remember is you only have ourselves. Thank you. Love you.
Peace.